I have been trying for the past 10 years to achieve a dream, trying to become a YouTuber, and it has not gone great. But I'm done trying. Honestly, I am so sick of half measures, of plan Bs and contingencies. No, but really, I'm so sick of always doing things halfway. And so things need to change. And before I get to how I'm planning to do that, I just want to take you along with me on a journey back in time over these past 10 years. I don't know when my dream of wanting to become a YouTuber started, but what I do know is that in 2015, after graduating high school, I started my first YouTube channel, a gaming channel called ACOP Gaming, because I couldn't get the name Alexander, I guess. Honestly, I'm not really sure what my thinking was, but I made that channel. And I went really hard, made a lot of videos over a 4 to 6 month period. And I learned the ropes of how to edit, how to record videos. I would like to say I learned the basics of how to present and be entertaining or something, but I really did not. I was so overwhelmed with so many other aspects that never really got very good. But I did learn over time to be a bit more free in front of the camera, to let go and let my personality shine a bit more. And that's, I guess, to some extent, something that I could use a little bit of going back to. But I guess we can touch on that later. Now, at the time, I spent all the money I had, and more than that as well, on buying a computer system. Or more accurately, I bought the parts, and then I had another person help me build it, all with the focus of using it for YouTube. Ironically, whatever thing I had done wrong or whatever thing was wrong, that computer could not, for the life of it, function properly with game recording software as well as editing software. So I actually had to do all the editing and exporting and everything on an old high school laptop at the time. And it would take the entire night. I would have the computer in my room on the entire night to do the renders for the videos and then upload them. And I tried throwing all the money I could get my hands on at the problem. Buying new, the audio would be crap for whatever reason. So I would invest in a microphone. And then the microphone would then have issues in interacting with the software. So I would buy new software. And then I would try all these fixes. And I would constantly try to make things work. And I did this for months and months. Every time I tried to fix a problem, a new one came up. It was like whack-a-mole. It was horrible. It was a very passionate time. And I loved that journey, but it was so taxing that every day when you showed up to work towards a goal, there was a new problem that felt unfixable every time. And after 4 to 6 months, I ended up burning out and giving up. I didn't have any more money to try and fix the problem. I didn't have any more creative solutions to try and fix the technical issues that I kept experiencing. And so I ended up taking the hard decision that I was done. Now, before moving to part 2, if you will, I do want to share something very endearing, which was that I was so happy. I ended up gaining 20 subscribers in total. But for the first many videos, I had no subscribers and basically no views, if any. But then one day I got 1 subscriber and I was over the moon. I was so happy. I was ecstatic. Little did I know, until I found out later, that that was my brother who had subscribed, which I will say, it was very sweet. Also felt kind of like a gut punch because I'd been so happy that some stranger actually found value in what I was doing. And I think sometimes you can sort of lose perspective on that as you gain more subscribers, that there's actually something beautiful in a complete stranger on the internet watching what you do and saying, I think you're cool and I like what you do. There's something special about that. But anyway, I got this one subscriber and I was so excited that I chose to do a one subscriber grand celebration video. So I bought a full family size pizza, 1.5 liters of Coke, a Singa, which is like a beer from Thailand, I think. Never tried it before, just like, let's do it. Possibly an energy drink, a extra large bag of sour cream and onion chips, and probably more. I went all out, pulled out all the stops, because I was just so happy. And I even recorded, again, that one subscriber celebration video, and I think, yeah, just because it's really cute and wholesome to look back on, even if the quality is questionable and I am somewhat cringe. I think I'll link it below because it's really, it's still nice to look back at that time. But that was my first channel. Final subscriber count 20. 20. Not sure why I need to underline that so heavily, but it was 20. Then, a couple of years later, without going into too much of a backstory, a lot of stuff happened, and I ended up having the call to YouTube again. Now, I no longer did gaming because I'd been gaming so much, sometimes spending like 10 hours a day playing League of Legends, that I reached a point where I sat myself down, as you do. Sit down, Alex. We gotta talk, bro. And I said, unless you're going to really try and become a professional at this, which is cool, if that's what we want to do, unless that's the case, we cannot keep spending this much time on something that literally does not bring anything to my life, that's not building anything. That's just sucking time. Unless I want to try and create something by going pro, potentially, then I need to stop. And I just reached the conclusion that I was not good enough to even try going pro. I had been grinding in the ranks for years, I guess. And the highest I ever got, specializing on one particular champion, was platinum. So I pulled the plug and I stopped gaming. But that left the question, if I wanted to do YouTube, you had to do YouTube and make the videos around things that you were like somewhat knowledgeable in. Because that's always the mindset that I had. Well, in gaming it was different, but here it was like something that I can maybe teach, something where I am knowledgeable and have something to share. So what would that be? I thought about it for a long time. And the answer I came up with was personal development. Because from the age of 15, I had been absolutely fascinated by entrepreneurship, doing your own thing, making it big, betting on yourself, all that good stuff. And so I had been reading personal development books, again, from 15. My bookshelf over here right now, like the 2 layers, even behind the books, there's a layer of books. In the cellar, I have bags and bags of just books, and I've read most of them because I was a voracious reader. I would read any nonfiction, like business book, I could get my hands on. I would listen to tapes. I would watch YouTube videos, anything I could get my hands on to become like the best version of me. And I'd been going through that and experimenting with all sorts of stuff over the years. And so I figured that's what I'm gonna do. And so I had, the crazy idea to enter probably the most saturated and most competitive niche on the entirety of YouTube. But I did it differently than I had with the gaming channel. I was a bit older, more mature as well. And having learned from the experience of my first channel, this time I was more strategic. So I looked, what are people doing on YouTube? What type of video formats are there? And I tried to do my own spin and tried to mirror thumbnails and, I tried to play the YouTube game. And it did better. Now, I was on and off over the years, but I really did try hard and I did amass quite a few skills. And I did learn a lot about making videos, about ideation and so on. And eventually I ended up reaching an entire 220 subscribers, which is really cool because it's 10 times the original channel, the gaming channel. However, in that process of trying to maximize for views, I ended up chasing so many trends and trying to mirror what people were doing that was working so much that I lost all authenticity. So towards the end, when I watched certain videos, I couldn't even relate to the version of myself that was on there anymore. And it just felt estranged. And so I ended up, after time, I ended up privating that entire channel. But again, that YouTube fire just never really went out. Okay, now we get to the beginning of this channel. And there's some backstory there that I kind of can't go around because it's necessary. So one of my dreams, I have two, is to become a YouTuber, which I have been trying to do for, again, the past 10 years or so. The other dream is to go to Japan, to try and live in Japan, to really try and experience immersing myself in Japan, going to the different prefectures, to different countryside towns and villages, to onsen, going to a local bar, talking with the barkeeper, big things and little things, everything. I just so desperately and innerly want to experience Japan. I've loved Japan ever since I was a kid. I don't know where that passion and love came from. Because, I have a bachelor's degree in Japan studies and a master's in global area studies with an emphasis or focus on Japan. So whenever I would say that to people that I'm studying Japan studies, they'd be like, okay, why? Like, where does that interest come from? And I never really had a good answer because I'm not sure. I don't know. From an early age, I would see samurai and the iconic architecture of Japan and the landscapes, and that just spoke to me. I loved all the shows I loved as a kid: Pokemon, Shaman King, Duel Masters, Beyblade, Crayon Shin-Chan Crayon, is that the name? All of these shows were all Japanese. I didn't know that, but they were. Yu-Gi-Oh! Fantastic show as well. But I always just was pulled towards Japan for whatever reason, and I never really knew why. So my second dream is to go to Japan and really, in the true sense, really experience Japan. Not as a tourist, not on the surface, but going deep. And so, as part of Japan studies, I began in 2019 and graduated Japan studies in 2023. And then I began my master's and finished here a couple of months ago, this summer. Thank you very much. But as part of the bachelor in Japan studies, usually you will get to go to Japan. Makes perfect sense if you're going to be basically, a Japan expert, having lived in Japan, been in Japan. Feels kind of like a requirement, you know what I mean? And so usually you get to go to Japan, but then there was a stupid pandemic and we didn't get to go. Now, the hope was alive until like a month before we had to go, or before we were supposed to go, when we got the final say that we couldn't go. And as you can imagine, I worked so hard in learning everything I could about Japan, and I improved my Japanese language capabilities as much as I humanly possibly could, because I had this idea that the harder I worked before I got to go, especially at my language skills, the more experiences I could have in Japan, right? The more that would help enrich my time in Japan. So I pushed myself super hard. And when I then didn't get to go, and my dream basically vanished right in front of me when I was so close to like touching it, was freaking devastating, to put it mildly. Yeah. But then there was a potential saving grace. In the last semester of the bachelor's, you could get to go to Japan on exchange. You just had to, instead of it being part of the program, you had to apply for it and stuff and set it up. But obviously everyone applied because nobody had, gotten to go the usual way. And for whatever reason, there was this one of the universities where our university in Denmark and that university just had not communicated about what the exchange was. Without getting into too much detail, because of administrative we didn't get to go. Me and two others. Again. And so for the second time, over a few year period, my dream was crushed right in front of my eyes. But I chose to take that pain at the time and try and make it into something productive. And so I figured if I can't go to Japan, then my passion for YouTube, I can channel that into a channel about Japan. And so that was the beginning of this channel. And so I found a video on YouTube that was doing really well. And I chose to just go all in. I analyzed every second of that video, every sound effect, every transition, every type of stock footage used, everything. Deconstructed the entire thing. Found a topic about Japan's untouchables and created a video around that using everything that I learned from that video. And the video just took off, and it was so beautiful. It ended up getting 300 and something thousand views. I ended up getting monetized off of that video alone. Rainbows and happy days. Except it turned out to be the biggest double-edged sword, because I wasn't ready for that. It was as if my dream of becoming a YouTuber had finally come true all of a sudden, right when the other one had been crushed. The problem was I couldn't recreate that success. And now everything that I made, I felt that people had an expectation that I would make a video as good as the first one. And personally, I felt that I had to as well. And every time I made a video, it would get, a fraction. I'm not even sure that's enough. They would get so few views compared to that video. So everything I did felt like a failure, and nothing was good enough. So every time I would work my ass off to create a video and give it my all, and it would just relatively flop, I was devastated again and again, and it just burned me out. But I kept coming back, and I kept trying. But what I've come to realize in retrospect is that I would try to do university and the YouTube channel at the same time. And I don't know, some people can probably do that. I apparently cannot. But I had an expectation of myself that I should be able to. And in my mind, to give a metaphor, doing one of those two things is hard. Preparing for exams and making sure you do well, writing long reports, etc., or YouTube, having to learn, remember, execute on 10 different expertise areas. You know, if somebody is to film in a professional setting, they have one guy who is educated just for the lights, for the sound, for the presenter. The presenter has a speech coach maybe, and like an acting coach, or like the entire way around, every single aspect, scripting, packaging, all of that has its own person who's educated in that. And in YouTube, you have to do all of it. It's super overwhelming. Also very worthwhile and satisfying, but so overwhelming. And so every time I would have to spend a lot of time getting back into all of those different aspects. But then an exam would come and I would have to stop and work on the exam, get it done. Okay, back to YouTube. I can do a video or two, but now there's a report that I need to get done on time. And so it would be back and forth, back and forth. And I had this impossible expectation of myself that I could think of it this way. Either one, YouTube or university, is like lifting that bookcase. If I get two hands and I get down, I can do it. Or maybe the smaller one. But either way, like I can do it. But I had the expectation that I could have two of those, one in each hand, and lift both simultaneously. But what I did was burn myself out so hard, straining all the time trying to lift both. While in reality, ending up lifting one and then the other and then the other. And in that process, feeling like I should be able to lift both. So every time I lifted one, I felt so terrible about myself for not being able to lift both simultaneously. Whenever I did one, I felt like I was neglecting the other. So anything that I did was never enough and just always felt terrible. And so that's why I've come to realize that I cannot do different big scale life things at the same time. Sadly, but I can't. Getting back on something like a track or whatever, that was sort of the situation. And in the aftermath of having the success of that first video, that video was it was kind of like a magnum opus. It was a fantastic video. I still think it's probably the best one I've ever made. It's so good. Everything is just like exactly as it should be. And I love that video. One thing that is a bit unfortunate though, is that it also created an expectation for the viewers who stayed that that was the type of videos that I was going to be making, and that I would be able to make that type of quality and depth every time. At least that's what I perceived that people thought. And that weighed really heavily on me and sort of pushed me into, and I did this myself, frankly, very much becoming like a teacher. And I do this in all of my videos. I'm very much like a presenter. I come in and I tell you exactly how the things are. But in truth, I don't know everything about Japan. And I feel like I've been wanting to get that off my chest. Like, I don't know everything. When I make these videos, I get interested in something, I then research it, and then I sort of share what I've researched. But I've been so scared of not doing things optimally that I've never felt like I could just take the moment to say that in a video and just open up to like, I am not all-knowing. I'm not, yeah. Like I'm just learning as I go, and I'm just sharing that. I do have a bachelor's degree and a master's, right? And I do have a bachelor's in Japan studies, but what that did was not teach me everything about Japan. It taught me a little bit about a lot. So whenever I hear something about Japan, I'm able to very easily contextualize it and more quickly put it into perspective and come to understand it. But like, I don't have a lot of deep knowledge about many things, but I love researching it and then sharing it. And that's really what this channel is. But having put myself in that presenter role where I seem like I'm a super competent professor or something does kind of put this pressure on me where I'm super afraid to get anything remotely wrong, which has been paralyzing me from making several videos and has sort of been a blockage for me to take action. And so I've just had a lot of things that have stopped me from making videos, pressing record, releasing videos, etc. But I'm done with that now. Right. I got a pen now. Also, a final note on like my editing, because as I went into phases of making videos and then not, I had to relearn like editing and scripting and stuff every single time, which is why my videos so far on the channel have been very different. Like the editing styles have been somewhat different. The level of editing, the pacing, everything has been kind of all over the place. And that's been a problem, which has also bothered me, right? And then when I don't really know what my style is because I feel like I'm all over the place, that's also something that stops me from recording. So, what's the plan? What am I going to do? As I said, I have been playing at doing YouTube for a long time. I'm done with that now. I'm going all in. I will make this happen. I saw a phenomenal video yesterday. I'll put it up here. Title, text, all that. It was about how you can basically ensure that your dreams will succeed. What can you do to make it so that achieving your dream becomes inevitable? And the video had this crazy idea, insane, of working towards your dream every single day for 1,000 days. And if you do that, it should be inevitable that you don't achieve it. I have been getting back into YouTube for a little bit now. Learning the ropes again, learning the current strategy and the way to do everything optimally, because I always do that. I am a perfectionist. I have been since I was a kid. That's also why I have so many blocks around creating content. Because as soon as I'm just a tiny bit afraid of something not being 100% accurate or making a mistake or it not being perfect or high enough quality, I don't do it. And I start procrastinating all day, every day, and doing all these terrible procrastination behaviors that hurt me. So whenever I'm uncertain of where to go and I have to make choices, it kind of messes me up. And I noticed recently in getting excited and choosing to commit to YouTube that I started being like, okay, so I really am attracted to the idea of posting every day for a variety of reasons. But then comes along that YouTube right now prefers longer videos. So maybe I should do longer videos, but then just do like 2 or 3 a week. And then I started working towards that one a little bit. But now let's go over here. And then I started making ideas for both. And I spent days where I wanted to make videos, just going back and forth, planning out like these full-fledged long strategies for everything. Because I love planning out the nitty-gritty details of these hypothetical plans that really only work as procrastination devices. So, using the insane idea from yesterday, I have decided that for the foreseeable future, I will be posting YouTube videos every single day. I say video, a YouTube video on this channel every single day. Now, is that optimal? No. Is that a recipe for burnout? Yes. Does every person who has done like a 30-day sprint of YouTube videos say, I would not do it again. I do not recommend it. Yes. Is it completely insane? Yes. But it speaks to me. It kind of calls to me. And while there are a lot of reasons not to do it, such as not having enough time to do amazing edits, to, to plan everything optimally, to research everything into having read several books about it first. And not to mention just, the mental tax of having to do it every day in and out. All of that is legit. But at the same time, again, when I have to make choices constantly about left or right, that is friction in me moving towards my dream. And I really don't need friction anymore because that leads to procrastination and self-loathing. So how could I avoid that? If I have to post every single day, that means that I cannot get in my own head. I don't have the time for it. If I want to make amazing edits and I don't feel like it's up to snuff, too bad. You're posting this, so do as much as you can, and then that's okay. And then over time, as I get faster and better at editing and identifying what's truly important in making good videos, because the editing is just like the sprinkling on top. What's really valuable is presenting, is connecting with you, the viewer, is being able to communicate information in a clear, understandable, and engaging way. There are videos on YouTube where there is no editing and millions watch it. There are videos that are way over edited. Is the sweet spot somewhere in between? Sure. But what I think is a really good idea is that by doing this, I can get comfortable making videos every day. And then I can build on my skills one video at a time in every area. I'm a bit hot. And honestly, saying this out loud, that I'm going to do this for the world to, follow along and see, is he actually posting, is scary. It is. Because I've been doing my master's degree, the entire time I said, this is a plan B. In case doing YouTube and the dreams that I want to do doesn't work out, I have a degree, sort of like insurance. And as a result, my plan B ended up taking up all my time doing that I couldn't do YouTube. It's crazy. These constant half measures. So I want to do something that's insane. I want to go all in. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this work. And this today is the first video of many. And I hope you will join me for the journey. I'm just a guy who's excited to learn about Japan and to share that knowledge. So if there's anything that you're interested in me covering, any questions, any whatever, just drop them in the comments down below, and I would love to have you along for the ride. Yeah. Right, I guess I should mention what I've been, a couple of rules that I also have for myself in this process. So I noticed recently, after posting a video, that I wanted to, or that I ended up procrastinating when I was choosing between different videos. So if I got up in the morning and then I had to choose what path to take, and I started, weighing and optimizing, I would procrastinate and not get anything done. So the way to avoid that is that every night I have to decide on the title and the thumbnail ahead of time. And then I have to make that thumbnail so that it's locked in and I don't have to think about that. So the next day when I get up, I just start researching and then scripting and then recording and editing and posting and then the next thumbnail. So that I always wake up to a streamlined, prepared work table. Yeah. And then also, it doesn't have to necessarily be within like the 12-hour, 24-hour clock. For me, a day is basically when I go to bed. I know that's a bit of a finicky rule, but hey, I make the rules. So, yeah. Damn, this is a long video. And I feel like my energy has been a bit all over the place. And honestly, having to post this kind of makes me nervous. Seriously, if you watched this entire thing of me rambling about this, thank you. And whatever your dreams are, I hope you get the chance to work towards them. And I hope, again, it'd be great if you would like to go on this journey with me. Anyway, I should probably promote one of my other videos here, shouldn't I? What do we have? Let's see, a good one. Ah, yes, but of course, why not go back to the video where it all started? Dark History of Japan, The Untouchables. Probably still my best video to date. I'll see you all tomorrow.